After his college career was over, he signed with the Packers as a free agent.
I got a $5,000 signing bonus, and there was a no-brainer what I was going to do. I went out and bought a Green Bay Packer green GMC Jimmy, because of course I was going to make it and be a Packer for life.
The Packers coaching staff was loaded with talent, but so too were the quarterbacks, with Brett Favre, Mark Brunell, and Ty Detmer.
I took a road trip up to see him, and I didn't even really know what NFL stood for when he first told me. I mean, I know nothing about football. I'm in the stands at the Green Bay training camp, and I remember hearing somebody say, "Who's that guy from Northern Iowa?" And, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I know who he is. And I listened, and the next guy said, oh, he's a camp arm. And I'm like, no, his name's Warner.
Most of the guys in Kurt's situation, I've played with a bunch of them. They're there for a week, they're gone. Do they get a rep? They may get a couple scout team reps.
He's blocked, this guy's free, we're hot, aren't we?
Steve Mariucci was our quarterback coach. He called Kurt Pop Warner. Mooch asked Pop to go in. He's like, I'm not going in. He wasn't ready. I can't say that I've seen a lot of guys say, I'm not going in. He's maybe the only one.
He wasn't ready. He wasn't recruited out of high school. He only played a year in college. He didn't get drafted. He shouldn't have been drafted because he wasn't ready.
And he's like, how was it for you watching? I said, that was exciting. You were out there, and those people are huge. I said, well, I have a question. What's a camp arm? And he said, why? And I said, well, somebody called you that. And the next day he was cut.
He didn't do enough to show us that he belonged. And for several years, he didn't belong. Eventually, he really belonged. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday.
Ty Detmer, myself, Mooch, you know, as Kurt's career just kept, we would always kind of joke about it. I'm not going in. No, yeah. I'll go in the Super Bowl, you know.
Kurt left Green Bay and returned to Iowa, determined to get a second chance in the NFL. He moved in with Brenda and her 2 kids in her parents' basement.
He would take care of my kids all day. He'd go work out with the college team just in case there happened to be a scout around and to stay in shape. And then the only job he could find was to do grocery store work at night.
He still had his green Jimmy, but little money for anything else.
We're driving back to her parents' house, and we ran out of gas. And it was, you know, freezing cold, and we were stuck on the interstate. And, you know, here are, you know, 2 kids. And, you know, it was one of those moments where you just go, what am I doing?
On the other side of the state, a team named the Iowa Barnstormers were playing something called arena football.
Up to that point, I was just like, I don't know what arena football is. I'm so much better than arena football. Yeah, here's a guy working nights, stocking shelves in a grocery store, and all I'm saying is I'm so much better than arena football. But it was that moment in the car where I said, I'm not above anything. I'm not too good for anything. If I'm going to chase after my dream, I've got to take the first step.
Warner played well enough in arena that word began to spread.
I called him up that July and August and asked him if he still had some interest and to give him the 11-man game a shot.
I'm like, you know, I appreciate the opportunity. I've got a pretty good gig playing arena football. I would love to play for you, but the only way that it makes sense to me is if you can get me signed with an NFL team where when I'm done playing for you, I can go into their camp and at least have that one last chance to compete for an NFL team.
I knew nothing about him. I knew that Al had contacted 10 to 12 NFL teams, and we were the only team that would bring him in and give him a workout.
Went to try out for the Rams. Had the worst tryout of my entire life. He actually called my family and just said, you know, I blew it. This was my last chance. I knew it was my last chance, and I blew it.
We were impressed enough to sign him. Did we know what we were signing? Not one of us, because I've talked to every guy that was there and involved many times since. What we thought we were signing was a 4th quarterback that could compete for the 3rd quarterback job.
Good read, Kurt. That was a good read. But always remember, on first down, you don't want to pass up a sure completion.
He was very impressive as the scout team quarterback. In fact, he did so well, he was selected as the most valuable scout team player in 1998.
1 year later, the scout team MVP would win the league MVP, the Super Bowl MVP, in a prize to make Green Bay a distant memory.
I'm going to try to take that Jimmy out of your driveway. Enjoy the truck. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Kurt Warner was on the road to being an all-time great.